Good evening, America. Hello, Chicago. And what's up, West Side? This is P Ray of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self esteem. You could have been doing anything on this chilly Sunday night, and you chose to come hang out with me today at Black Excellence Hour. And as always, I appreciate the company. If you are watching live on the Black Excellence Hour's Facebook page, or the Intellectual Radio YouTube page, be sure to share the live. Share the live today. We are talking about death to the Department of Education. So, a part of Agenda 47 is dismantling the Department of Education. And that's because, based on the data that we're going to read today, they definitely need to be dismantled. The Department of Education literally, y'all, drove the Chicago public schools into illiteracy. At this very moment, 8% of Black boys are reading proficiently across the district, and that's because of the policies of the Department of Education. So we're going to talk about that today because, as usual, people are trying to trick trick Black folks once again. They said, oh, they gonna get rid of the Department of Education, they gonna resegregate the schools. And they lying to y'all. They are straight lying. But before we do that, we're going to get a dose of self-esteem from the greatest president to ever do it. Y'all know his name. Our upcoming president number 45, soon to be president number 47, the man, the myth, the legend, Donald John Trump Sr. Take it away, Donnie.
African Americans built this nation. You built this nation. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to get, you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense? Right? But through generations of blood, sweat, and tears, and you deserve a government that defends your interests, protects your families, and cares for our own citizens first. My administration is fighting with everyone and all our heart to reverse the pain inflicted by Democrat leaders and to deliver hope and opportunity and prosperity for all Americans, but for African American communities all throughout our land. And our agenda is lifting up citizens of every background, race, religion, color, and creed. But while we are fighting every day to build up our nation, the far left only wants to wreck, ruin, and destroy our nation.
All right. Again, that was Donald Trump, President Trump, telling us who built this country, because this country belongs to us. Moving on. First things first, I want to give a shout out to my uncle Leonard. Today was his birthday, and I just left the birthday party. I was in there sweating, saying, feet don't fail me now, because I was cutting the rug. So shout out to Uncle Leonard. Shout out to his wife, Auntie Linda, and her children, who threw him a wonderful birthday party. It was at this spot on 76th and let me get it right, 76 in Harlem. And the food was pretty good. So shout out to them. I also want to give a shout out to Chicago Red. Chicago Red, once again, was in the media this week. I want to give a shout out to our Vice President, Vashawn Tunkel, who was on the evening edition with Liz McDonald. Evening edit, excuse me, with Liz McDonald. I am a regular on that show as well, and I was there this week. Let's listen to my comments. And let's try this again. And rotate. Oh wait, I think that's the comment from last week, but we'll play it again. Let's go. Roll tape.
To listen to the people of these cities, even if Democrats still won a majority. They're not happy.
Actually, before today, I would have said no. But today, for the first time in the history of Chicago, the entire city council voted no against the mayor and his budget to fund migrants. It was literally 50 aldermen said no, straight red across the board. Chicago red is winning and permeating the conscience of our leadership here.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I'm thinking to myself, when is that going to translate into voting against Democrat politicians, though? Because you got your mayor there who is certainly not on board with what Trump wants to do.
Well, you have to remember that we vote Democrat in the city because of the culture of patronage and bullying and terrorism. And so we have a federal decree to make them stop called the Shachtman decree. And so now that that's done, and the people, everyone knows across every race and socioeconomic class that the Democratic Party does not own us, Chicago is about to change. And today's city council vote definitely illustrated that.
That is fantastic news. Danielle,
So that was actually me on the Laura Ingraham show, and that was last week. Let me see if I can find us this week on the evening edition. But with that being said, the reason that we do our shows, this is on Fox Business. Fox Business Network loves them some Chicago Red because they've never seen Black folks like this in their lives. They're actually like, whoa, how are you all doing this? And how are you all making this work? The other night I got on YouTube just to watch videos and listen to stuff. And the first thumbnail that I saw was actually myself. I was like, whoa, that's me. So again, guys, we are doing our thing. People are taking us seriously. They understand who we are and what we have going on. It looks like they did not upload our clips from the evening edit this week on Fox News, and that's okay. I'll get them and play them for us next week. However, the Fox Business Network again deals with the business people across America. So we have captured the eye of the corporate world. And that's a good thing, y'all, because people were telling me that nobody was paying attention to Chicago Red, and boom, shaka laka laka boom. Check us out. Moving on. Let's get to some news really quickly before we get to the meat of the show, which is again about the Department of Education. We, friends, again, are in the middle of World War III. Let me give you a couple of updates. Number one, they are saying that the Iranians are going to attack Israel soon. There are unusual movements in various space missile cities. And this came from a plethora of news sources, including Reuters, Al Anin newspaper, Mariv, and Yadoth Arnoth paper. So this is coming from all around the world. What makes it very interesting is that also today, the Arab League condemned Israel's attacks on Syria. 4 days ago, Israel struck the Syrian town of Payamra, resulting in the death of 36 people. Now, with that being said, because remember, we're looking at the redo of World War One. During World War One, we had the Axis and the Allies. And so, or no, that's World War II. Sorry. We have the Ottoman Turks versus the world. The Ottomans, with the help of the Russians, are starting to pull their gang back together because also Russians have recruited hundreds of Yemeni mercenaries to fight in Ukraine. So it looks like the Russians are starting to gather their allies. Remember, they went and they got the North Koreans. Now they have the Yemenis. And remember, the Yemenis are the ones who are blocking the Red Sea from Israeli boats. They are bombing vessels that come through there that have any NATO flags on them. So it looks like the lines of demarcation are being drawn very strictly right now. We have the Russians, the Iranians, the North Koreans, and the Arab League on one side against NATO. The reason that this could prove to be problematic, my friends, is because the southern border is open and all of these people have sent their people to come get their lick back, okay? And they know that after January 20th, this is going to be a new country. So everybody must be diligent. Keep your eyes and ears open, 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 open because some crazy stuff is about to go down. And that is your World War III update. Moving on. I got some great news for everybody. MSNBC is going out of business. The shield station for the Democrats have played themselves out. They are going out of business. So Comcast owns MSNBC. And they're saying that Comcast is going to spin off its cable channels, including CNBC and NBC, because shows like Joyless, Joy Reid have lost 60% of their viewership since My Donnie won. They also said that Lawrence O'Donnell lost 60% of his viewership. Stephanie Rule lost half of her viewership, as did Ari Mebler and Chris Hayes. The Morning Joe crew, they actually went down to Mika and Joe. I think that's their names. They went to Mar-a-Lago and actually tried to become friends with my Donnie again because they were talking crazy and they see that the world no longer cares about this Democrat chaos that they're talking about. But it's too little too late because, again, MSNBC is going out of business. Also, they're saying that Rachel Maddox's show is struggling. Nicole Wallace's show and Alex Wagner, all of them have lost more than 40% of their viewership. So, as we see, the Democrats are played out. And this is what P. Ray has been telling y'all for years. These people are played out. If you are still a Democrat and you're still on that Democrat plantation and you're still supporting those people, you might as well put a Jerry curl back in your head so all y'all can be played out together. It is played out. Nobody wants to hear about the poor people at the border. No, because we're calling ICE 866 DHS2 ICE 866 866-347-2423. See something, say something today. We also no longer care about them pushing homosexuality and transgendering our children. That day is over with because my Donnie has already said that he is going to ban all trans surgeries for children and he's going to stop boys from playing in girl sports. So those things are what played out. And I think that this can be attributed to America's parents. So shout out to the parents, everyone who stood up and said, we are not accepting this. We do not have to go along with this. And this is not who we are. Shout out to everyone who stood with us as we push back against this. And it does not make you a bad person to want grandchildren. It does not make you a bad person to want to see your bloodline flourish. 773-345-9977. 773-345-9977. Give us a call. Let's take a couple of callers. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour.
Hi, P. Ray.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Well, only thing I can say is January cannot get here fast enough for us.
But I'm
going to be patient. I'm going to be patient. Patience is a virtue. But the only thing I can say about the Democrats and the madness they've been giving us for the last 4 to 8 to 12 years is nah. Hey, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
That's all I can say about them.
That's it. They are so over, Dennis. And look, they thought that all of us were crazy when we started doing this. They really thought that we were just wasting our time.
Mm-hmm. And so now they say, now I bet you they go through some sleepless nights saying, Chicago Red. Chicago Red. That's what they're saying right now in their sleep. Especially that Mr. Mohawk Brandon Johnson right there. And you know, son, we just started to be a pain in his you-know-what.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff. And you thought he had a panic attack? He's going to go to a heart attack after this.
We don't want the man to have a heart attack. Now, he's still those kids dead.
I'm not saying that. Okay.
You know, I got a soft spot for him because I like his wife.
Okay. She could be a widow.
No, we want her to grow to be old age with her husband.
Oh gosh, you know how to take the fun out of this, don't you?
I don't
But
want to hurt him. I don't want him to hurt himself.
I'm not saying that, but he just did it too much. He just, like he cut the police. He want to cut the police budget. I don't know why. I think that's part of his campaign by defunding the police.
Yes.
I truly believe that the CTU should not give one dime of our taxpayer until the reading and the math skill had improved for the kids. That's one thing we need to address that to this every time they have a meeting with the city council. We need to address this. Yes. Now, first of all, let me start off with this. Now, mission accomplished that we stopped Brandon Johnson with the $300 million, but now he wants to do $150 million, which there's no logic behind that. So we need to stop it. Another thing is this: he over here talking about, well, I'm gonna protect my people. So who is his people? The migrants or the citizen of Chicago, who some of them blindly voted him in. So does that take more precedent? Does the migrant take more precedent than a voter? Because it sounds like between him and Miramichi, J.B. Pritzker, they want to protect the migrants, but what about the people in Chicago and in the state of Illinois?
I agree. I mean, they don't mind using our money to pay for them, to subsidize their lives, to attract them here to the city with the promise of sanctuary and free money and food and shelter and education and healthcare and all that good stuff. They don't care about us.
Well, here's the reality. 57 days and it's counting down.
57 days.
57 days. So now we're going to have to send a clear message to J.B. Pritzker that if you don't let ICE come in here, we're going to escort ICE to every neighborhood in the city of Chicago so they could get out of this city. That's one thing we could do. And we could escort them with guns. That's one thing about it. I'm not promoting violence. I'm just saying we have to protect ourselves too.
I totally agree. I don't have anything against it, but we got to do what we got to do, which I'm glad you brought that up, because I do want to let the audience know that my girl LaShawn is doing another free concealed carry class. It's going to be on, let's see, I'm looking at the plugger. This is going to be in November, so I guess next weekend. It's coming up, but you all can please take her number 312-912-1461. Again, 312-912-1461. The class is free and there is a $50 range fee with a $25 deposit to secure your spot. Please go and hook up with LaShawn so you too can carry hollow points in your purse, because this is not a game, my people. This is America. Your people died and picked a whole lot of cotton in this country for you to legally carry a firearm on your hip. So thank you for bringing that up. And then the dates are November 30th to December 1st. So that would be next weekend.
And another thing for all the ladies, it's very important for the ladies to arm themselves, because what happened to Laken Riley down there in Georgia and all that guy that Venezuelan gang member got his license without parole, and I believe he should have got the death penalty. We cannot have no more Laken Riley. We cannot afford to have no more Laken Riley in the south and the west side of Chicago or anywhere else in the United States. So it's very important, especially for women, to learn to defend themselves and arm themselves and protect themselves with guns, because if the police won't be there, who will?
Tell me about it. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
773-345-9977, 773-345-9977. Before we hop back in the queue, because Dennis brought up this tax bill, I want to let y'all know that the city of Chicago is about to shut down. Do y'all hear it? You heard it here first. The city of Chicago is about to shut down because they have a $340 million budget gap that they have to fill by December 31st. Today is November 25th, which means that they got less than 6 weeks to come up with $340 million. Now, we must remember that the city of Chicago spent $400 million on illegals this year, which means they spent themselves into a hole to take care of the illegals. At first, the budget gap was $235 million, but once again, Springfield did not come through for the city of Chicago. And that happened earlier this week because there was going to be a new tax on prepaid phones and calling cards, and that was supposed to raise $40 million for the city of Chicago. Well, friends, the Illinois Retail Merchants Association said that there were technical problems that must be fixed before they could push this forward. They wanted the tax increase to go from 3% to 9%. However, this would have made it impossible for retailers to redo all of their. Oh, today is the 24th. Thank you. I thought today was the 25th. I'm a day ahead. Today's the 24th. They still got 6 weeks and they're not going to come up with the money. As I was saying, they want them to completely do their point of sales machines, and they could not do it. So then they wanted to treat them as two separate transactions, but that did not work. It did not work. It did not work. It did not work. They are not going to be able to implement it by January 1st. They're trying to get it now by July 1st. However, this is something that resulted in the city of Chicago losing $40 million. Carlos Rosa said, "We are desperately all trying not to have to do a big property tax increase, and this makes it harder." He said that he hoped to fix it sometime next year. Now, they're saying that this all is going on because of Mayor Johnson's administration's dismal track record in Springfield, and that's also because of his Office of Intergovernmental Affairs being shorthanded. They're saying that the city has never really meaningfully engaged Springfield because they thought that they were going to go down there and bully them. And they said, no, you are not. Now, it's also very important that they are trying to put this liquor tax, which is going to raise Chicago liquor prices by 34%. However, the bar and restaurant owners have come together in their own lobbying group, and they said absolutely not. Mayor Matt O'Shea in City Hall said that he is quite confident that the city is going to abandon any discussions of a liquor tax. So this is another tax that Mayor Johnson wanted to put forth that's not moving. So we said no to the property taxes, no to the cell phone taxes, and no to the liquor taxes, which means what, friends? All we got to do is get rid of the illegals, and we will not have to think about any of this because, once again, we spent $400 million on them. Now, Andre Vasquez, who's the co-chair of the Progressive Caucus and the chair of the Immigrant and Refugee Rights Committee, said that meeting the December 31st deadline is going to be painful. However, they are going to raise the garbage fees by $9.50 a month, and they're also looking to restoring the automatic escalator locking and the annual property increases. They're saying that programs like guaranteed basic income have to be on the chopping block, which is duh. Like, the city of Chicago cannot afford to give random people $500 a month. Absolutely not. They're also saying that the city is looking at making city employees take unpaid furlough days, and they're saying that those conversations should have actually been held back in August. And this again is Matt O'Shea speaking, and they're saying if they would have had these conversations back in August, we would not be in this situation. Vasquez said, "These next 10 days are going to be important to see if we can identify efficiencies. We can't just go back to our neighbors and say, we just found a new way to tax you. We didn't find a way to save any money. That's not responsible in any manner." Hey, Andre, all you got to do is get rid of the illegals. I don't understand what is going on. I don't understand why do we have to continue this conversation when we know that the main issue in our budget at this time is the illegals. I don't get it. 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 But again, that's who y'all voted for. P. Ray did not want anything to do with that. Let's take another call. It's 773-345-9977. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour.
Recall Brandon.
Recall Brandon.
That's right. Anyways, a lot of good discussions you're talking about. Speaking of the media and, MSNBC shutting down, a lot of people have been reading the Judicial Watch report on COVID. I actually, I sent a message on Facebook. If people want to read it, they can mail it to me, PM me, and I can send it to them. It's about a 25-page report, but it goes all the details about how the government got these free, tax credit, advertising credits from Facebook and all these other platforms to basically gaslight people. They go to the details. I mean, it's incredible about all the stuff they did to basically work with government to basically lie to people, suppress information from people like Dr. Malone, and also try to mislead people about, ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, saying, oh, it's horse medicine, that kind of crap. It was just awful. This whole expose is amazing. So people need to get this report and understand these people are lying to, and this is why, rightfully so, these people are shutting down, because people are realizing we've been lied. They've been lying to us for all these years.
It's true. They were just mouthpieces for the Democratic Party, but now that they're out of favor,
Exactly.
all of everything associated with them is going to start fading away.
Well, not only that, but it's just the collusion, of the government basically working against the people.
I totally agree.
And this is, in fact, even today on our favorite radio station, they were still talking about Russian collusion.
Well, what can they say? I tried to keep those people relevant, and they didn't want P. Ray. So now they have to keep repeating the lies that, again, has gotten MSNBC pushed off the air. Maybe that's the same thing coming to them. Somebody should tell them that conversation is old and played out.
Oh, I understand. Well, that's why I call them every week. But hopefully, maybe this Cleopatra lady, she sounds like Kamala Harris. She's awful. So maybe they'll see the need to bring P. Ray back in the morning.
Well, we'll see. They got to have their money right. We'll see.
That's right. Well, hopefully it happens.
Thank you, Jim.
WVOA needs you, my love.
Oh, do they? But they got to show the kids some love, and they don't show the kid love or respect. And all I was nice to those people. It's okay. They're lost.
That's all right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yep, Intellectual Radio is here to save the day. So thanks, Jim.
You got it. Be good.
See you. 773-345-9977. 773-345-9977. Y'all know I try not to talk about those people. And they keep on talking about me. I'm like, I'm not even thinking about you. Speaking of not thinking about people, I want to give a shout out to Mayor Daley, who showed up at Officer Enrique Martinez's funeral. Now, it's a shame that they had to pull out 83-year-old Richie to go represent a Chicago mayor at this funeral, because the Chicago Police Department and the FOP said, do not come to this funeral. We're not playing with you. We do not want you here. We do not want to see you, any of that. And then Brandon was like, I don't care. I'm coming anyway. And they said, oh, no, you ain't. And he said, oh, yes, I am. And then he decided to pull back, and Mayor Daley showed his face. So shout out to Mayor Richie. I never thought in this life I would be saying that I missed him, because growing up as a child, people were saying that he was such a horrible, terrible, horrible, horrible person. But P. Ray, if nobody else, misses Richie. May you be well and safe. Moving on, speaking of the State House, because we talked about how the State House has slowed down this tax increase that's supposed to be coming to Chicago. They're also doing other things, and they just passed a law to help illegals hide in the state of Illinois. I'm going to let Ms. Shannon Adcock speak to us about this. Roll tape.
We have a call of action against House Bill 5164, which has already cleared the Illinois House, unfortunately, and is now going to be in the Senate. Reach out to your Illinois senators and tell them that you reject this bill. It effectively is going to add more protections to illegals here in the sanctuary state of Illinois. Already, because since 2017, we've been a sanctuary state. Illinois law enforcement does not have to cooperate with federal immigration officials. They cannot collaborate with them. So illegals are flocking here for sanctuary status. And unfortunately, if somebody who has a violent criminal record comes here to the state of Illinois with this House Bill 5164, they're allowed to change their name after just a few months of being here, which is down from the 6 months. And it incentivizes them to change their name and to basically cover any criminal history that they may be bringing to our state. So this is very worrisome, and it would be great for you to reach out to your state senator and tell them that, again, it is their duty to protect and defend the Illinois citizens of their districts, not to protect illegal criminals, especially those who may have a history of violence and criminal behavior. We don't want it here in the state of Illinois, but after looking at the Lake and Riley case and that horrible, horrible, horrible murder, fortunately, the violent offender has been found guilty, but in states like Illinois, it is a matter of when, not if. And I'm disgusted that Illinois is a sanctuary state. This is wrong. And to have House Bill 5164 potentially pass, adding more protections to these violent criminals, it'll be a lot harder to understand what their history is, what violent crimes they may have committed in the past when they're allowed to change their name so swiftly after getting here. So reject House Bill 5164, head to illinoisfamily.org, file the witness slips as soon as possible, and tell everyone to reject House Bill 5164 here in the state of Illinois.
Thanks, Shannon Adcock. Again, that's IllinoisFamilyAction.org. Go there and fill out those slips. You heard that here today on Black Excellence Hour that the State House is currently passing legislation to make it easier for illegals to come to our states and change their names after they have committed crimes in other places. Now, this is not happening for us. If you, me, and 3 other people decided that we were going to smack a whole bunch of people downtown and run to Indiana and change our names, that could not happen for us. But because My Donnie is about to bring this immigration move or this deportation move, the State House is now passing legislation to make it easier for them to hide in our states. So again, be sure to fill out the witness slip, call your state senators, and tell them, do not, under any circumstances, and I mean none, okay, we do not want this to pass. This is HB 5164. Again, HB 5164. Call your state senator and tell them, do not pass this bill. Okay, they are using the legislative time that you're paying for with your Illinois property taxes to make life easier for the illegals. Moving on, and again, give me a call, 773-345-9977, 773-345-9977. So let's get to the meat of today's show, because I can go on and on about these trifling people in our local politics, but that's why P. Ray doesn't even talk about them, because I already know who they are, and it's a waste of everybody's time to continue to converse about them. So let's talk about the feds, because that's what I was trained in. I heard that my congressman now hates that I tell people that he trained me because we are whooping them so bad, but in real life, y'all, my congressman trained me. This is why I know federal policy so well. Shout out to the congressman. I will never, ever, 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 ever speak down on my congressman. I will never run against my congressman. I will never help those who want to harm my congressman, because I am loyal to him, just not the Democratic Party. Well, this week, Miss Linda Mahan of the, or McMahon, no, Mahan, I get that right, of the WWE Enterprise was named the secretary of the Department of Education. Now, a lot of people were saying that they do not want to get rid of it because they're pushing all of this scare tactic things on us about the Department of Education and how it has discriminatory, or it helps get around discrimination, so on and so forth. However, we have to know that, one, our schools, we were producing a higher quality of people, or of students and scholars and all that stuff before the Department of Education got involved. One of the main reasons that they started to get more active is because they wanted to push this desegregation move. However, we were better when we were segregated. I'm going to say it. Segregation actually is why the city of Chicago, we love it here. I tell people all the time, we love our segregation in the city. But I digress. We are pushing for them to get away from this. It has nothing to do with integration, but more so about the quality of education that the Department of Education is pushing out. I have some data in front of me, and this is from WirePoint. Shout out to WirePoint. And they're also with the Illinois Family Institute. I think they're like a subshoot of them, but I digress. They have this graphic that shows the decline, and it says Chicago public schools drop in reading and math. Academic proficiency rates amongst Chicago public school 3rd through 8th graders since the militant caucus of rank and file educators, also known as CORE, took over the Chicago Teachers Union leadership in 2010. So when they took over in 2010, we had about 70% of the children reading proficiently, and about 75% of the children doing math proficiently. Well, friends, starting in 2015, when the Common Core standards were introduced. Now, remember, in 2010, we were looking at 75% reading, or about 70% reading, 75% math. Okay. When Common Core, which was a federal initiative instituted by the Obama administration and encouraged by the Department of Education through educational grants to push onto municipal districts like the Chicago Public Schools, those rates dropped to the following: about 30% for reading and about 25% for math. So in 5 years, they dropped about literally 40 to 50%. And again, that's because the city of Chicago, the Chicago Public Schools were given an initiative by the feds through the Department of Education, through the Obama administration, to go in and adopt the Common Core standards. From there, friends, the scores have been substantially dropping. Now, I know they like to talk about the pandemic and they say, oh, all of this drop in education is due to, or drop in proficiency, it's due to the pandemic and the fact that they had to do remote learning and the children really did not go to school. That is not true. That is not true. That is not true. The major drop came with Common Core testing. Even when I look at this graphic, it went from, in 2014, about 50% of the children were doing math proficiently, to 2015, where about 25% of them were doing math proficiently. That means that there was what's that, 50% drop? 50% drop in what they were doing. That is completely unacceptable. But this is why we have to get rid of the Department of Education. The Department of Education has also dictated that boys can go and play in girls' sports. That means my baby love, who is athletic in her own way, would then have to compete with boys on her academic teams, which then makes it difficult for girls like her to get scholarships, because they will no longer be the top athletes in any of their fields, but instead this will go to confused little boys who are protected by the Department of Education. I don't understand why anybody would want to save or protect that. We also have to look at the fact that the Department of Education has pushed for this what is it? Where are your words, Patricia? P. Ray. LGBTIQIA plus curriculum to be put into your schools, or our schools. So rather than them pushing for the children to read, write, and count proficiently, they are now teaching the children how to pleasure themselves, how to pleasure each other, how to do it in both hetero and homosexual ways, or even being asexual, while telling them that their emotions matter more than anything through social emotional learning. So now we have children who are emotionally confused and know how to have sex, but they cannot read, write, or count. And again, all of this is coming through the Department of Education. Why would anybody, again, be interested in saving this? 773-345-9977. Let's take another caller. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
Hi. I'm from Colorado, and me and my husband were listening to the show. And in Colorado, the illegals, I work for preschool program, which is Head Start, and the kids are like, they say if they're homeless or whatever, stuff like that, they're put at the top of the scale so they can get in there as soon as possible. But our kids, the ones that need to get in there that are from United States, are put back down because they already claim that they're homeless and this and that. They'll put them on top of the list, which is kind of sad because there's kids that need that the education and stuff, and the other ones just get on top of the list real quick.
The same thing is actually happening in Chicago, if you could believe that. That's actually what fuels me in my fight, because they took the school buses from Chicago's nerds and gave them to the illegals, because they're saying that the busing can only go to unhoused people, and those unhoused people are the illegals. So do you believe that this is a federal plan pushed by the Biden administration? Like, why does Chicago and Colorado, why are they doing the same thing?
I don't know. I just think it's the Democrats, but it's just like they took all the buses and everything a couple of years ago. But now that I'm working, we're getting more and more Spanish-speaking children in our classrooms, but the other ones are not getting in. And other people have talked to us and stuff, but it's mostly them that are starting to get in there more because they claim that they're homeless. So, and they're putting them up on top of the list, which is kind of sad because we need it for other kids there too.
What makes it easier for them to go? Is it because they're counted as homeless?
Yes. And that's why they're saying that. And I'm like, well, that's not right, because we know that half of them are not homeless, but somehow they get it. You know what I mean?
That's wild.
And you know what I mean? And there is, other kids that need the services, you know what I mean? But we don't find out until later on, you know what I mean? Because we don't look at when they're going to file for it and they accept them. That's when we find out later on.
Have you all experienced
more and more? We're getting more and more illegals in our system than the regular kids that are here from the United States.
Have you all experienced any outbreak of disease in your classrooms?
Yes, foot and mouth disease, a lot of head lice, stuff like that.
Yeah, because here in Chicago, we ended up with measles and TB and meningitis.
Wow.
I mean, I'm saying that to you guys too, even the lice and the foot and mouth disease. Those are things that we weren't necessarily dealing with before they got here.
That's right.
Well,
yeah, it's a lot different. I'm like, and the behaviors, it's like the behaviors have gone so bad in the classrooms, and they want us to deal with it and not tell them no and this and that. It's changed so much, and a lot of teachers don't want to do this no more. They're starting to retire early, the ones that are veterans, and they're like want to hang in there, but they want to quit because the behaviors are becoming really bad.
What are they doing?
They walk, it's like hitting, punching, kicking, cussing at us, everything. It's like It's different. And they're 3, 4, and 5 years old.
Wow.
And it's just getting worse. Yeah, and it's all over this Colorado. There's a lot of kids that even in the elementary, they're getting bad. A lot of teachers don't want to do it no more. And they're just, trying to tell us that we need to, tell them, they've had a rough life. Everybody's had a rough life. I understand that. But we don't talk to our teachers and disrespect them. And then these parents are like, they act like we owe them something or because I have another co-worker that I used to work with. She works in the district. She said that how we have conferences and say how your kids are doing and stuff. Well, one of the parents turned around and told her that because she said, well, he's struggling and he needs some help. You know what I mean? And he told her no. He goes, that's what you're getting paid for. And I'm like, whoa, a lot of this stuff's coming from home.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they don't care anymore, or I don't know, they don't want to take the responsibility. There's no accountability for these kids hitting us and kicking and cussing at us and everything. They also don't want to tell us, they want us to tell them that no, or like talk around the whole issue, you know what I mean? But not really like nip it in the bud, you know what I mean?
How do you?
Because they just tell us, well, you shouldn't tell them no, and this and that. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
If you had a magic wand,
why shouldn't
and you had any way to rectify this, what do you think that solution looks like?
I think that they need to change a lot of stuff and like put God stuff in it because it's getting worse. And it's like there's no accountability for the parents. They're just like, that's like my best friend. And I've been doing this for years, and I could tell which kid has respect at home and is being disciplined, and the kids that are not. Because I've been doing this for a long time, and the kids don't have no respect anymore. They don't care. They have an attitude like whatever. And they're only 3, 4, and 5, and they cuss at us and try to hit us and punch us, and you're not my boss, and you could tell who's the boss at home, and it's getting to a point where a lot of teachers don't want to do it no more. Well, and I know it's all over the nation.
Well, I thank you for coming to work every day and, dealing with the children, because this is not easy. When you're dealing with children who are being pushed on you from outside, and then you're dealing with American children who don't know how to act, and you're coming to work every day trying to do your job and teach them, what they need to learn. I truly appreciate you showing up every day. Truly, 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 because I know that this is not an easy job to do.
And it hasn't. It's coming to a point where, like, we were talking the other day, they're pushing so much on us now, this paperwork, you want to change this. They're just like doing nothing but stuff on us. I understand there's change and everything, but at the same time, it's not like we're not teaching anymore. It's like they keep shoving us more and more stuff that we need to do. It's not teaching, getting down to teaching and enjoying it or anything like that. It's different now.
Well, hopefully once we get rid of this Department of Education, it's going to get better.
I hope so.
And thank you for listening to my show all the way in Colorado. We are nationwide. I appreciate you. How did you find us?
Yeah, I was listening to it with Juan. He was on the line with him.
Oh, okay. Well, shout out to Juan. Yeah, thank you, Juan, for listening too. Thank y'all from Arizona. I mean, from Colorado. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah, so he goes, you got to get on there and say something.
I appreciate the company, y'all, and make sure you share the show with people you love.
Okay, we will.
All right, see you later.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
773-345-9977. We got listeners in Colorado. Shout out to Black Excellence Hour, because again, y'all, this movement that we're doing was not just a Trump movement. Now, y'all know I love me some Donnie, okay? I love me some Donald Trump. However, the reason that I was going so hard for him is because I had to fight against so much opposition toward the man. So I'm like, my Donnie, y'all listen to my Donnie. Look at my Donnie. He's not bad. And now the people have caught on. Now that we have him back in office, we're going to work in tandem with Agenda 47 to get it executed in the city of Chicago. But we are not Chicago for Trump. We are Chicago Red. Chicago Red has the goal of completely dismantling this system of chaos, confusion, and perversion that they are pushing on us through our tax dollars that is literally bankrupting the city and leaving Americans behind. Brandon Johnson has 6 weeks to come up with $340 million, and unless the city of Chicago is going to shut down, like completely shut down. So if you think that it's crazy now, you just wait come December, then they don't come up with the money. You better let the people know it is time to go get armed. This is not a game, y'all. They have spent us into complete chaos, and they don't got the money to do it. We're also pushing this again across the national airwaves. Shout out to One America News Network. I was on with Mr. Dan Ball this week, and he was an amazing host. I mean, he loves having me on there, and I always want to go on One America News Network, so I appreciate him as well. If you want to, please start coming out to the Chicago Red meetings. We meet every Thursday night at 5834 West Augusta. The phone lines are blowing up. Y'all always do this at the end, so I'm going to let everybody speak very quickly because we got to wrap it up soon. Let's go to the callers. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, what's going on? I met with you on when we met on the south side over there on Halsted. This is Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, listen, I have I've been doing some digging, and I found out what this thing is going on is called Cloward, CLOWARD, Piven, PIVEN, Cloward Piven strategy. And what that is, it was and the one who actually took the class of that was the both of the Clintons, Obamas, and so forth. And what the Cloward Piven strategy is you use every agency that gives out money, you stress it to its fullest ability till it breaks the bank. It breaks the bank, and it breaks it down to the point to where they no longer can do the thing that they set out for the people who applied for the thing. And now what's going on, that is exactly what's going on with the borders wide open. Keep in mind, Biden did actually go to the Supreme Court to try to get the Texas governor to keep his borders open. So that makes no sense. What that is, it actually, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'm getting my wrap-up signal, and I got somebody after you. So just give me 20 more seconds. I'm going to bring on our last caller, then I got to wrap up.
All right, so what I'll say to this is everybody who's listening, look up Cloward Piven strategy.
Yes, sir.
Piven strategy. It'll explain everything that's going on.
I'm going to look that up, and we'll talk about it next week. Thank you, Michael.
All right, sir. Bye now.
Bye-bye. All right, we're going to take our last caller before we wrap up. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hey, welcome.
Hi. I know it was wrong, but I was still having compassion for some of the immigrants. I think I was taken in by them standing on the corner with the babies and everything. So yesterday I was in front of the Jewel on Canal and Roosevelt, and I guess now since it's dark outside, the lady with the infant in her arms and the other baby, and then they had a lot of things out there, and a Venezuelan came up in a real nice car, late model car, picked up all the things they had gotten from the people who had donated to them, put the infant in the car, and then came back after I went to a store over there, and I came back, and he came back with the white, real nice car and picked up the lady as well as the other child. So they're scamming people as well, driving. I've seen them with some real nice cars and things along that line, but I was really shocked with the putting the infant in their hands and the baby and the infant and being out there and then coming in a late model car and picking up everything.
It's a scam.
Right Roosevelt.
Don't let these people scam you. If you won't give it to that black man who just got out of jail, who's trying to get some money on the side of the road, don't give it to them. Thank you, ma'am.
I agree.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And it is 7:55, which means it is time to wrap up, and the music is playing, and that means that we are at the end of the show. Remember, friends, this there we go. And we know that, again, the music is playing and it's time to go, so I want to leave you with this. Number one, we have homework this week. Call your elected officials and tell them that we want to stop that bill that is going through the Senate right now. Your state senators, State Bill 5164, that is changing people's names. Also, know that you better call LaShawn this week and join that gun class, because the city of Chicago is broke. We are missing $340 million because Brandon wanted to spend $400 million on the illegals. I told you he was going to spin us into the hole. I told you that this was a farce. P. Ray does not lie to you. I'm just trying to warn you, but that's okay. We just got to survive until January 20th. That's when my Donnie is coming. He's about to clean all of this up. They're sending the AG, the city hall, all those people going to jail because they did not have the authority to spin us into a hole, raising my taxes and your taxes, making everybody less safe, less secure, making everybody's bills go up. We deserve better. Get away from them played out Democrats. MSNBC is off the air, and everybody else that is supporting those lies are about to go too. This is P. Ray of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem. I truly appreciate the company as always. See you Thursday, and try to join the inauguration trip with us. Mwah. Ciao, and see you in a little while.